The Chiefs are 0-2, and they need a reset along with Andy Reid, who has to start from, as we do right now, on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs fans. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. That means your team every day, and we certainly are on the Chiefs every day, win or lose. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. You everydayers are what make the world go around for us, so thanks for being one of them. And if you are a sub and an everyday already, we appreciate you. You can get that much more at 816-357-8781. That's where the text line comes in for the everydayers, and for those of you that are on this show every single day, no matter what platform, video or audio or whatever you're looking for, we can't say thank you enough. There is a lot of shows that you could be choosing. Make sure you check out another Locked On show for your next one. We have to get into what is now a little bit more critical mass, time for a little bit more introspection on the team's part, and we're here to guide that a little bit. They need to get some new answers for where they are in new territory. I think the team recognizes that. We're going to start there. We're going to look at what went right against the Eagles that you need to double down on and make sure that you continue to incorporate it into game plans, etc. But what are the next steps to turn it around? That's coming up later in the show. New territory for this team. Haven't been 0-2 since 2014. Patrick Mahomes has not had this kind of slow start to his career, to the point where when he's asked about it, he's like, all we can do is really rally around the guys in the locker room. We trust each other. We're going to get this figured out. And I think that's all well and good, but there's not much more that Patrick Mahomes himself can offer. Maybe you think I'm wrong, but from my standpoint, other than some baseline accuracy issues that he always has this early in the season, I really can't ask him to do much. First, it's making all kinds of plays with his arm. And then this week, it's literally running nearly as good as the running back that just won a Super Bowl for the other team. Like, I don't know what else you can ask from him.
I don't think you can ask that much from him more than you already are. I mean, the reality is you go back and you watch him play, and I talked about this on the the show after the game. He missed an early throw to Noah Gray. If he hits that throw, it's a first down, it's a big play, and maybe they score on that drive. I mean, maybe that kicks off the offense and it gets them going in the right direction. But one play isn't what makes the entire game. You can point to other things that happened in that game that cost them a lot more. The pass to Travis Kelce that got intercepted goes right off of Kelce's hand. And what did Mahomes do? After the game, he took it on himself and called it his fault that he didn't put it on his body. That is what he did. He looked after his guy. And you're right. The reality is you can't ask him to do much more. He's shown that he can do everything with his legs if he has to. He has thrown the ball pretty well. I'm not going to say he didn't miss a couple of throws. Obviously, he did. He missed that throw to Gray. He missed that deep ball to Tyquan Thornton, but he ends up making it up for the deep ball later, and he hits another deep ball to Tyquan Thornton. So, and there was another throw to take Tyquan Thornton between the miss and the touchdown that he put pretty much on the money. Tyquan just couldn't come down with it. Now, I'm not going to say it wouldn't have been a tough catch.
It was a good play by the
catchable.
Defender. Yeah,
what was
it
that?
was catchable. You're right. It was a good play by the defender. He did have one of his arms under control.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at it, and there's not much more you can ask from Patrick Mahomes. The one thing that I will say that maybe you can ask for him is that he trusts his offensive line a little bit more, because I do think that there are some things there that kind of showed that they're moving in the right direction. And yes, there's some problems because you had a lot of interior pressure, but you have to also be fair about who they were going against. I mean, you can only do so much when you're going against two of the better defensive tackles in the NFL, two young guys that are going to be wreaking havoc for years for the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, and I think because of those, and because the guards had a rough day, we'll talk about them coming up later. But as you said, literally the premier matchup for that defense is the two interior defensive tackles. That's why Georgia has national championship rings, is because of those two players in particular. But the difference is very stark. When Patrick's kept clean, 16.5 12.9 drops to 6.5 when he's not. And that is just so dramatic that it even illustrates more so than what we've seen the last couple of years in trouble with the tackle protection. That certainly turned around today. But the speed at which somebody's on him because of the guard issue in this particular game really, I thought, was more demonstrative of what it was to actually affect him.
Say that number again. What was his 8 out when kept clean?
12.9.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes doesn't throw the ball down the field. Like,
well, we're going to get to that.
No, I understand, but my point is like he's destroying narratives when he's showing that he gets the protection that he needs to get. And we're going to talk about the protection a little bit more in the next segment, and we will talk about that. But the reality is that you look at how this game played out. Yeah, if he hits a couple of plays and he makes a couple of throws a little bit better, and don't get me wrong, the Noah Gray throw has to hit that or at least get it in the vicinity. The throw to Juju Smith-Schuster over the middle would have been another one. Would have been a little bit of a tougher catch, but that probably gets them at least close to a first down, if not a first down. But the other part of it is this team pressed, and it was very obvious they were pressing because you go for it on your own, 35-yard line for a fourth down play and don't get it. I mean, and we're not even talking about being late in the game where you feel like you have to go for it. It was a situation where they thought, hey, we have a play we can run. We think we'll get the first down. And this goes back to exactly what we were just talking about. The defensive tackles that they're going against, that's not who you want to be running those types of plays for. You don't want to be taking the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hand, in my opinion. I understand it's 4th and 1. You'd love to say you run it, you get a first down. I get it. But the reality of this offense is that's not the strength, and all you really need is 1 yard. Andy Reid has shown over and over and over again to have multiple different plays that can get him 1 yard. That's all you need. And I know people are going to complain and say, well, if the ball's thrown and it gets knocked down or if it's not completed, they're going to complain they didn't run the ball. You saw why they didn't run the ball. They don't have the ability to grind out that yardage against a good defense like the Eagles have on the interior.
Well, I see where you're getting to, except it's only true this week because it's these Eagles interior defenders. The rest of the time when people complain that he wouldn't want to run inside, that is legitimate complaint. This time, agreed, it shouldn't have, but.
Well, fair, but I guess my argument is that you're looking at it from the perspective of they were pressing that early in the game.
Yeah.
You don't do, like, you gave them 3 points, and that came back to bite you later.
Yeah, as did what you had hoped would be a little bit more automatic kick for the second week in a row, little kicker struggles. I think that needs to be addressed as well. I'm not sure what can be done about it, especially with a veteran, but something's got to settle down there. This is new territory once again, so hopefully that leads to some new solutions. But despite all these issues, some things did go well during this game. We're going to point out what they can build on, what the foundation could be going forward as this team evolves. That's coming up next. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IHS Top Safety Plus pick awards than anyone else. As of August 25, from footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Nappa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail as well, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I absolutely love Monarch Money. I've been using it for over a year now. This is a phenomenal tool. You need to go check it out. I linked all my accounts to Monarch, and they immediately spotted a few subscriptions I wasn't using. Canceling those has saved me some money every single month, and I've really appreciated that. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL. What did the Chiefs do right in this game? What made them have a chance to win at the end? And the biggest storyline, in my opinion, looking at the PFF scores, is Josh Simmons. They finally look like they have a left tackle, and that could mean everything for the Chiefs down the road. And I understand they're 0-2. I understand there's a lot of questions and what can they do going forward. But let's remember, this team last year under Patrick Mahomes' QB was 15-1. I'm not worried about 0-2. Won't like it, but I'm not hugely worried about it.
I'm starting to feel like Josh Simmons, every time he's on the field, I need like a prophylactic dose of Tums or something, because during the game, I saw a couple of plays that I wasn't happy with his performance. And then he gets hurt, and I actually got noticeably anxious after this guy has been through this much, and now we're placing our hopes on him. And then it comes back and he finishes the game strong and he's making blocks. And I'm watching the last couple of drives at just how solid he is and how spatially he's aware of keeping his back square with where Patrick is. I was really impressed with the way that he finished that game. Was he perfect? No. He got the highest PFF grade. You're right. And you guys all know that PFF grades are not what they're all cracked up to be, and they're not what they used to be honest as well. But it is a relative thing there. And unlike the guards who struggled, other than a couple of plays, Simmons finally, against the champs and an experienced rusher in Smith, and Smith, I guess, on both ways, I thought that was maybe the most encouraging thing that you could take away, is that he held his own in just his second ball game.
0 pressures. It's what he accounted for. 0 pressures.
Yeah.
I would love to go back. I didn't go back and look. I should have gone back and looked before we started this, but I would just about guarantee you that there is no game last year that the left tackle gave up 0 pressures.
That's a great thing to look at. We'll have to check that.
And the reality is they were going against the champs. That is a huge deal. And the other thing, Jalen Moore, 2 pass block snaps at left tackle, 1 pressure. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I didn't have a pressure. I was looking at something else. 1 pass block snap. I apologize for Jalen Moore. Didn't give a pressure. So left tackle didn't give a pressure the entire time. That's something to be happy with. And people are complaining. Some people would complain about paying him $15 million a year. This is exactly why you pay Jalen Moore $15 million a year. He stepped in. He wasn't perfect, but he got the job done as much as you can ask for coming in cold.
Last time we said this, Eric Fisher was left tackle, folks. That's how radical this is as a thought. There's a lot of other things that are positive takeaways, and I want to hit you with a few of them. You pick which one you like the most. If I told you that 17.2% of Patrick Mahomes' passes were actually beyond 20 yards this game, would that surprise you? Because it took me by surprise. If I asked you that they had a 4-3 advantage in rushes of 10 plus yards, would that surprise you? If I told you that 20 plus yard plays, the Kansas City Chiefs outpaced the Eagles 4-1, would that surprise you? 3 of them being 20 plus yard completions.
Surprise, maybe a little bit on the fact that they went deep as much as they did, but I will say that this offense is showing that they're going to be throwing the ball deeper, and that's without Xavier Worthy. That's without their best deep threat. Say what you want about Hollywood Brown, but he hasn't shown to be a deep threat so far this season. Tyquan Thornton has been the guy that they've been using in that role. I hope that they use Hollywood Brown at some point in the near future, because I want to see him. Because when you get to a point where you have 3 of those guys that you feel like can take the top off of defense, that really opens up everything for the playbook. So I think that it would be huge to get a couple of deep shots to Hollywood Brown down the field. I understand they need him doing other things as a wide receiver, and that's something that Tyquan Thornton can do. But hopefully when you're looking at the next couple of games, you get Jalen Royals back, and we'll see whether or not you get Xavier Worthy back. But the reality is that you're in a situation right now where you need to be using what you have on offense, and you have deep ball threats, and you have a quarterback that is starting to show that he is willing to throw the ball deep, continue attacking down the field. It doesn't matter that he hasn't hit all the ones that you want him to hit. it's something where he has to get in a rhythm. And the one thing I will say on the big Tyquan Thornton overthrow, sure looked like he threw it a little bit shallower than he probably should have. And I'm guessing that the next time that happens or anything close to that happens, he's going to learn from it and is going to put a little bit more arch on the ball and let the receiver run under it.
And that's a trust factor. And I'm glad that you bring that up. It is something that he has to learn, not only in the offensive line, but to just let it hang out there and let him go get it. He has plenty of arm power to put it out there and let Tyquan in particular go get it, but Xavier when he's back as well. There are a number of things that went right there. All of them were on the offensive side, combined with the defensive performance that was good enough to win this game, in my opinion. That's only a starting point. You got to build on that. So what's the next steps? How do you take it to the next level? I have three important things. There's probably a fourth, and I know you're going to agree with one of them. It's centered around the tight ends, and that's next. The NFL season is on us, and FanDuel is making sure that you're getting ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it's all in one place, and the app is super simple to get after. Whether I want to do something ahead of time, put together a parlay, or whatever I'm looking for, jumping in live is even an option. It makes life one-stop shopping to get into the action. So if you're ready and you are ready to play, get in there, download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. And that's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet to get that 300 bonus bets. Check it out at FanDuel.com. Now I have a lot, but I think one thing that we can say is that you should check out NFL 33, RGR Football, and KC Chiefs Corner. That's where we do our other work. If you don't know us, we've been here for a very long time, and we keep continuing to cover this team, win, lose, or draw. Next steps. And when I look at the counts, I am frustrated. Yes, Travis Kelce did lead them in fact, before I even talk about Travis Kelce, we should just boil this down. Remember those days when Andy Reid just first came to town and we were hammering down the fundamentals, win the turnover battle. Well, in this ball game, 7-8 years later, that's what it's come down to, is you lost this game on the turnover battle. Everything else, had it stayed the same, is a wash. It's a 14-point turnaround, and you win this ball game. That said, Travis Kelce led them in receiving, right? Yet, they didn't give him enough spell. Only 4 snaps of 13 personnel. 4 snaps. In my opinion, going forward until both Xavier and Rashee Rice are back, that's not enough.
I can't disagree with you. I think you look at this game and how do you play this game? How do you go into this game knowing that you're not going to have Xavier Worthy? Because, yeah, they called him doubtful and then they ruled him out on Saturday. I guarantee you they had a pretty good idea that he wasn't going to play the entire week. So you don't have him in the game plan. How do you not have more 13 personnel trying to take advantage of the playmakers that you have? Because you do have a playmaker, regardless of what people want to say. Travis Kelce looks like he is better than in 2024. I'm not going to say he's back to where he was 5 years ago. That's not the case. But he does look like he's better than he was in 2024. And, yeah, he had a huge drop that turned into an interception and cost the team huge. But you still have Noah Gray, who has shown at times that he can be a competent weapon for you, and Patrick Mahomes trusts him. And you saw that on the intermediate route that Mahomes missed early in the game, where he's trying to throw a deep route to Noah Gray. And if he hits him, it's another 20-yard gain. You talk about all the 20-yard gains they had. It was another easy 20-yard gain. Mahomes just missed the throw. And after what you saw in the preseason, how do you not run Tanyan out there and run 10 snaps at least of 13 personnel? Because it doesn't have to be a situation where you're throwing out of it every time. You could try to run the ball out of 13 personnel, and teams are just going to think you're going to be running the ball. But then you have the ability to catch them with a pass at different times. Like, I just don't understand the thought process as to why they're not using it. The other thing that really sticks out to me, and I know I don't necessarily love this when they do it, but what kind of trick plays have we seen from the Chiefs so far this season? Like, I don't want to say that you have to get gimmicky with the offense, but one of the things that I was looking forward to in this Eagles game was I felt like the Chiefs had to have held stuff back for this game specifically. I didn't see anything really that new that came in this Eagles game, and then to not have any kind of trick plays or trickiness to you against a defense that is known to be aggressive didn't really make sense to me either.
Yeah, I think that pressure came from the guys that you want to do that with are not Tyquan Thornton and Nico Remigio and Juju Smith-Schuster.
I get it.
That's really bottom line.
But you got Hollywood Brown. I mean, you could do some of the stuff with Brown and Kelsey.
Maybe.
And
although I don't know that there was practice time for that, because I don't think you practiced them, in camp with Hollywood being the trickster, right? I do think there was an opportunity to run more screens. I do agree with you there.
Yep.
But again,
another one.
Yeah, in general, yeah, right. I do think there's room there to expand that, and maybe he needs to be the screen guy at this point. Although I think he's probably a better attack vertically than he is in a screen situation. They did split him out a few times. They ended up motioning him around as well, but I think they could do some more of those things too. On the defensive side, the big one that stands out to me is 8 more snaps of cover 0. I think Jesse Newell might have broken it down 14 times. In 2 ball games, Steve Spagnuolo's had to go to cover 0. That's too much. It's too much too early. It ain't a surprise. It ain't working, and it's always leaving a couple of guys exposed. I won't blame Trent McDuffie. I had hoped that he would have played that ball a little bit better, but there was a momentum issue there. That big catch was really only because they were in 0 with no safety help. And the reason that I feel, after looking at this again, they played only 2 snaps of cover 1. So Steve Spagnuolo was more comfortable going with 0 safety coverage than having someone play center field to at least keep Hurts honest. And I think that was a tactical mistake. When Steve talks about some of those that he wants to take back, I think he needs to lean more into the cover 1, even though you don't have a true center fielder. Get somebody to play that role. I still haven't checked. Did you see how many snaps CRW had? Because whatever it was, it wasn't enough for me.
No, I was trying to look because you said something that just really jumps out to me. You look at the stats that they had in that game. I'm trying to find this. Oh, here we go.
Christian Wallace had 1 snap, by the way. And I do think he's
there you go.
At least
Jalen Hurts for the entire game, 101 yards. That one play to Devontae Smith was 28.
28? I thought it was 23. Yeah. And that says it all.
Maybe 23, but he only had 53 yards and as long as 28. So I was guessing it was 28.
Okay.
My point is, you take away that one throw, he threw for less than 75 yards. And what did we talk about going into this game was Jalen Hurts has outplayed Patrick Mahomes. That I didn't see that.
Wasn't true on the ground either.
Right. You talk about going to cover 0, you talk about having to blitz, and you talk about not being able to get pressure. That is a severe problem. They have to get that figured out. I don't know how they're going to figure it out. They are dealing with injuries as well. But I will say this. When you watch that game and you saw how often they went into cover 0, for as often as they blitz and as often as they sent multiple rushers, multiple blitzers to not get burnt, says that this secondary has the ability to be very good. It's just going to take time and more pass rush to actually bring it out. And that's a big problem because I don't know how they're going to get the pass rush. And the guy that got injured was Mike Dana, who isn't known as being one of your better pass rushers anyway. He's more of a run-stuffing defensive end. He does get after the passer some, but you didn't get anything really from Chris Jones. You didn't really get anything from George Karlaftis. And you can't have that on a consistent basis because you're going to lose games if you do. And I will say this. I understand the Eagles' offensive line is fantastic. They're very good. They're probably one of the best in the NFL. But you got to be able to get home when you send blitzes. And they didn't even get home necessarily on some of the blitzes. And that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm really glad that you brought up the secondary because Noah Williams was the highest graded per PFF coverage player in this ballgame. I'm
excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. Grades don't matter. But this is the key for me. Targeted 3 times, same as Chamari Connor, only 1 less than Jalen Watson. and the same amount as Trent McDuffie, gave up the lowest completion percentage of any DB in this game. Yeah. That's the difference. Stop the ball. Don't allow completions. You save yourself, and you put them into this thing that they do where if you can settle down the run and keep them out of short, you're going to be okay. If you can keep them from being in second and third and 2 by getting 8 yards on that first run that Saquon Barkley kept breaking off, you put yourself out of the territory of the tush push, and you take this team out, and you would have won this game going away. And I think that's how close the margin was.
Yeah, and I will say this as well. I think that, and I meant to bring this up earlier in the first segment, but the one thing that I think is going to really stick out to me when you go back and rewatch this game, and I want to be 100% clear, I am not saying that this is the reason the Chiefs lost, but they're not going to be going up against teams that are going to be doing the tush push. And the tush push changed this game several different times. And the whole reason I bring it up is because you're absolutely right. When you get to a second and 2 or a third and 2 against the Eagles, you know what's coming. Yeah. Other teams, you're not going to have that near as much. So I do think that's going to help push them in the right direction. But the one thing I will say, NFL needs to call the game as it's supposed to be called, because there is plenty of video and photographic evidence that they are not getting that called right. And that's a big problem.
No, they ran it well. They even ran it legally half the time. It's the other half that's the problem.
Yeah.
So you got to fix that, because it's so difficult to defend already, that if you are in the Chiefs situation where you're not stopping that run effectively enough to keep them out of that space that allows them to run that particular play, then you know what's coming. And if you know what's coming and you're still able to stop them once, I would argue at least twice in all reality, but then they still have that advantage. It just makes it to the point where unless you're able to sort out all your offensive issues and you put up 24 or 31 points in this game, that's what the outcome is going to be, is exactly what we saw. So there are things to build on and there are things to take away, but the league has some of that to do as well.
Well, and I think that when you look at it, you also have to look at it from the perspective of the Eagles know exactly what they're doing in that play, and all they got to do is get to it. The thing that amazes me about that play is that you don't have more injuries coming from it. I don't know how you don't have more injuries coming from it, because you have 9 guys basically trying to spear as low as they possibly can. How you don't get injuries from that play from offensive linemen and defensive linemen is amazing to me.
Yeah, I think the total of that play will only be tallied later, probably after retirement for a lot of players. It is definitely a singular thing that they do well, better than the Bills, although the Bills ran it against the Chiefs. Chiefs were able to stop it. It's not completely unstoppable if it's done legally. So that said, that's a takeaway to keep in mind for next time when they see this team again, because I am convinced there is upside coming for this team.
Yeah, and it's also in the name of, maybe Rashee Rice, maybe Xavier Worthy, Jalen Royals. I mean, lots of different things that they're missing early on against 2 of the better teams in the NFL. I will say, before we started the show, I told you, I think that while I'm not happy they're 0-2, they're 0-2 against 2 of the teams that are the Eagles are easily top 5 probably in the NFL. Even though they may not have played like it the first week, I think they played a little bit better in some ways and worse in some ways in week 2. But I still think that the Chargers are probably top 15 in the NFL. And to lose the way that they lost with basically their top 2 wide receiving threats out, it's a tough pill to swallow, but they gave themselves a chance to win.
Yeah, that's true. They're going to give themselves another chance, and so are we, because we're going to have Matt Derrick in tomorrow to tell us what's going on in the building, behind the scenes. Don't miss that one. And then we will find out what the other team's thinking right now. Yes, we're talking about this one. We're going to get to it, and we are going to turn the page, and we will preview it for you on Friday, so don't miss it. We appreciate you guys spending your time with us. Make sure that you like and sub. And if you want that text line to get instant news, it's 816-350-787-81. Thanks for being with us. You everydayers, you're the reason. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.